Recording in progress.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Palm Springs Public Art Commission on Thursday, February 5th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Jay, can you do roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Hanner,
Here.
Commissioner Kibbe,
Here.
Commissioner Landy,
Here.
Commissioner Cameranci,
Here.
Commissioner Gascon, not present. Commissioner Loya, not present. Vice Chair Gonzalez,
Here.
Chair Armstrong.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for acceptance of the agenda as written?
Make a motion of the acceptance of the agenda as written. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, motion passes. Thank you. Public comments. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Public Art Commission on items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission, and agenda items if a member of the public cannot be present later in the meeting at the time the item is heard by the commission. Additionally, members of the public may address the commission on each item listed on the posted agenda at the time each item is heard. Although the Public Arts Commission values your comments, pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. 3 minutes are assigned for each speaker. And before we move seat, I'd like to note that Commissioner Gascon and Commissioner Loyola have entered the meeting. Jay, are there any public comments?
Does anyone have public comments, please? Have a seat up here.
Good evening, Chairman Armstrong and committee members. My name is David Christian. I was one of the founders of Friends of Frank Bogart, and just wanted to thank the commission for your decision to relocate the statue at the Village Green in the previous meeting. We know that you were hit with a whole lot of information before the meeting and a whole lot of information after the meeting that you're probably not normally exposed to. And but we would like to remind you that the meeting was properly noticed and conducted in accordance with the City Public Arts Ordinance. And the commission you focused on your duties under the ordinance, and that you considered all the facts regarding the artist, the statue, and public testimony. And we'd just like to thank you again for your commitment to public art in the community. Have a good evening.
Thank you for your comment. Jay, are there any more comments?
Do we have any other public comments? We have none, Mr. Chair. Not online either.
Well, I will state two things. One, as I was looking over the minutes for the December meeting, I noted that there was an opening because Carlos resigned, and I encouraged people to have their friends apply. We've since been told by the mayor that there will not be any mid-season replacements done. So that opening will move to the next application period. We also have two commissioners left, Commissioner Loyola and Commissioner Kibbe, whose term is up at June of this year. You both will be receiving an email to have you reapply. The email will go out March 1st, and that application period will be happening at that time. Okay. And then before we begin tonight, I do want to make another comment, and I did not coordinate this with the previous gentleman. But I want to briefly address recent public and private commentary regarding the Public Arts Commission and its handling of the Frank Bogart statue as requested by council. I want to state clearly and for the record that the commission acted lawfully and followed the required process. City council and city staff were aware of what the commission was considering, and our agenda materials and remarks were reviewed in advance by appropriate city stakeholders. Our discussion and action were conducted in an open, publicly noticed meeting consistent with the Brown Act and the city's ordinances. The commission did nothing improper. We applied the ordinances as written, acted in good faith, and stayed within the scope of our authority. There is no further action for this commission to take unless and until we are directed by city council or the city manager's office. Until we are told otherwise, the statue will remain securely in storage. And lastly, I want to congratulate the commission for taking its obligations seriously and for conducting its work with care professionalism, and respect for the public process. I recognize that some of you have experienced pushback, and I apologize for that, but I want you to know that you should be proud that you followed the appropriate process. Next up, approval of the minutes for December 4th, 2025 and January 8th, 2026.
Together.
Yeah, that's fine.
I move to approve the minutes for both December 4th and January 8th, as is.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item up for discussion is discuss World Art Day, April 15th, 2026. This is actually a multi-fold discussion we're going to have here. World Art Day, we started celebrating 3 years ago, and that's where we did dedication of significant pieces within the public art collection. 3 years ago, the first one was we dedicated or rededicated the 3 John Clement pieces in Demuth Park. And again, World Art Day is a global celebration of public art. It's on Da Vinci's birthday. And I think in this time when our federal government tends to be alienating us from our allies around the world, it's appropriate that we do what we can to show that we are part of a global initiative and art cures and helps. So we can discuss that. But on top of that, 2 years ago then, the Parks Department and Parks Commission got involved with World Art Day and started doing a true community art outreach initiative. So we're going to hear about that tonight. And then we're also going to talk about what we can dedicate this coming April as part of our initiative, and then what we can do in 2027. So first, let's talk to the Parks Department. If you'd like to come up and discuss what you are doing.
Hey everybody. I sit up here.
You sit
Never
right
done
there.
this, so please forgive me. Hi, my name is Crystalline Paquette. I work in the Parks and Rec department with special events, and I am one of the coordinators of the World Art Day Festival. We started originally 4 years ago, combining our power with the Art in the Dark in the Park event that was started at Demuth Park. We have now moved to the downtown park, and it is a separate event. It obviously is in correlation with the national, global World Art Day celebration. We normally celebrate the Saturday closest to the 15th. It sadly happens to fall on Coachella weekend 1, but we basically bring in all of the businesses, nonprofits, schools, artists, community members that are in relation to the arts. We try to bring them together for a free, fun family event for the community. And so we would like to invite you guys to participate. And normally what we ask everybody is we ask them to bring an activity or information in regards to the programs that they're with. The event will be on April 11th, which is a Saturday, and it will be from 10 to 2 at the downtown park.
And I recall last year, Natasha, Tina, and Carlos did the effort, right?
We did.
Yes.
Do you guys have any interest in taking the lead on doing it again? Do you think it's something that we should do again, even if we've changed what was offered?
Yeah, I think we should. We had a lot of participation in our activities, and there was a lot of positive feedback. We did the public art postcards. We did the painting of the hats. That was incredibly popular. I think by the end of it, we were all out of all the hats, and there were some 80-ish postcards that were sent out. We also did, what else did we do?
Something about finding art around nearby.
Oh yeah, so I did have a QR code where people can look at the public art map, that asset map that we had put together. And then there was another thing where I had yellow hearts from a different activity, and people were writing down why they love art or what art they loved, and then they put it around what's his name, the purple sculpture?
Crawler.
Yeah, the Crawler, because it was a newer art piece. I even encouraged people to look at Crawler and be like, what do you love about it? So there was like a little garden of hearts there. So yeah, so we had a very good turnout. And if we have some new commissioners here as well, so if there's any other ideas for activities we could do. We still have the tablecloth, and I believe we still have some postcards available, right, Jay?
I would have to double check on that.
Let me get back to you. So I guess the question is, does the commission want to participate? And if you do, who's going to take the lead? Who's going to volunteer? And if you volunteer ideas, you have to participate that day.
I don't know if I can take the lead, but I can definitely help that day.
So it so World Art Day itself is on April 15th, but the event will be on a weekend, right?
That is correct. The
Okay.
Saturday closest to the 15th normally.
So,
You said the
We
11th.
will-
The
Yes,
11th.
I actually have some informational packets. It has our flyer. It has our call for artists. It also has some sponsorship paperwork if you know anybody that might be interested in sponsoring. These are still in the preliminary version. I have to get a Spanish version approved. So I will get that to you if you would like it. Is it okay to pass these out?
You can pass them out.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I probably should have brought that over.
No, it's fine.
So who wants to take the lead? And who wants to participate?
Or question, what is involved in taking the lead? So the reason why I say I don't know if I can take the lead is that I know when my work hours conflict with a lot of city employees' work hours.
I guess what really needs to happen is confirming the activities we're gonna do, gather the supplies, and then make sure they're all ready before that day, and then the day of to go to the event and set up, and then to man the booth and then facilitate or assist with the activities. So last year, Tina and Carlos, you guys helped a lot, or took the lead on the painting of the hats, which was just amazing.
And didn't the hats come from the Parks Department?
Yes,
Yes.
and we can purchase supplies if you
Yeah.
guys need us to. So that's something to take into consideration as well.
Thing, just to give you some, Carlos and I didn't do, well, I sent you a couple emails to make sure we had supplies. But they brought the Park and Rec brought the supplies to us at our table, and we just set it up, and then we stayed with the people and helped them paint it. So there wasn't a lot of advanced prep work for that particular activity, if that's what you're worried about. And I would encourage this year, I know that we're public art, but it really is a kid-focused event. So anything messy is really like fun for them. So.
Yeah, no. I work with little kids a lot, so that's why I'm like, I really do want to participate. I just know that like, if it involves a lot of meetings during work hours, like I have another
I don't think,
job.
I think we had one.
Yeah,
And-
and that was just to confirm that we submitted all of our supplies. We confirmed the activities we're doing and then
Yeah.
submitted them to Parks, and then to make sure that you had everything and that we were gonna receive it. And that we confirmed who was gonna be at the booth to facilitate as well. I will say, the one thing, if we are gonna do another painting activity like that, I think a hand washing station would be paramount. Hand washing
Yeah.
station and maybe a tarp, because I
That's
had,
right,
yeah, I
yeah.
had the foresight to bring in some of my own personal tarps, but I think
How many do you have?
a lot. But yeah, but they did eventually. We had so many people come in that some of it did spill into the sidewalk despite our best efforts. So
So, we don't need to decide the idea now. I guess the question is, do we have enough people who want to participate?
I definitely want to participate.
Okay,
For
so
sure.
1, 2.
As long as there's some flexibility, I can take the lead.
yeah, and you don't have to be there the whole
I'll be
day.
in the booth, yeah.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
the
can be
problem.
there.
So if we got the three of you doing, are you going to participate again, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so the four of you can do it, and one of you two can sort of guide, mentor two of the newer commissioners.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I will make sure that most of the correspondence was through email.
Yeah.
So it's not for me organizing. It wasn't really, we had to meet. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. But I can definitely let everybody know. Do you want me to email as a group or just the 4 that are going to be
Just the 4.
mostly?
Just the 4.
Perfect.
And you should have Natasha or Tina's email already, and
Yes.
they can add on the others.
Do you have any ideas of what you'd like us to do? I mean,
It's really open to the imagination. This year, we chose the theme, the space that connects us through art, so the space between. So anything, it's really open-ended, honestly. It's very vague, but there's so many amazing things that you can do. Obviously, family-friendly, the messier, the better sometimes, right? But it's what you're comfortable with, you know, what you're comfortable with bringing out and also doing with the public.
are you going to give us the supplies like you did last year, or are
We can organize it if there is funding within your budget and you are able to fund anything, perfect. If not,
We're not allowed
We
to.
can.
That's the challenge.
yeah, we can definitely supply.
Okay.
Okay?
In terms of like live entertainment, do you guys work with Palm Springs Unified at all, and maybe collaborating with Adopt the Arts and
Yes, they
Foundation
are.
so that they can maybe have some of the children's groups sing at the?
Yes, we are in correspondence with Palm Springs Unified. Sometimes they're a little bit difficult to get a hold of, but we have them on our list. And we also organize with the local businesses such as Miss Lindsay's dance group. I think it's SAJ, CK Dance, Palm Springs Arts Academy. So we'll be contacting everybody and offering the opportunity to come and join us.
It might be nice to, if you have other partners, to offer to collaborate with the Arts Commission, just to come up with either a bigger, more interesting idea or together. Maybe not.
Perfect. No, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Any other questions before she departs?
Not really a question, I guess just something I wanted to mention, because I like to talk about my work a lot. Since you said that you're working with Palm Springs Unified, it just made me think of like the school district entirely. Cathedral City High School just came to Sunnyland, and they did an entire family day with different displays of different types of Asian artwork. So they had like little like dragons that they made and had people decorated. They decorated paper fans. They had someone doing like henna tattoos. So a specific art-based event that was different types of Asian artwork, which this just kind of reminded me of that. So just something to think about.
Do you happen to have a point of contact that
I-
you can hold of?
I do.
I don't.
Okay.
But yeah. She does. So that's all that matters.
Inside the folder is my information. If you'd like to email me any leads, that would be great. I'd love to get as many people involved and make it as big as possible.
Okay, so Michelle, are you going to join the task force?
I can't commit to being there the whole day, but I can definitely join the task force and provide some contacts. I work for Palm Springs Unified, so.
Oh, perfect.
So Jay, if we have 5 people who are involved with this, does that constitute quorum?
It constitutes quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe one
Yes.
person does not get involved in the discussion, but can participate on site, because
Is everyone going to be together all the time?
no.
It sounded mostly like Michelle was going to provide contacts,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
be active,
I
at least
can
that's how I
contact
heard.
people and provide.
Yeah.
And 2, I don't know if it makes any difference, but there's normally only 2 people manning the booth, so I don't know if that helps.
So, and I mean, both you two were there last year, so you may not need 2 senior people engaged with the day-to-day. And you guys can determine who wants to take the lead with the other 3. Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for letting me speak.
So then next up is, we had discussed previously of doing dedication of the final 2 Creature Alley pieces, and they were supposed to be done for World Art Day. However, the artist is dealing with some personal issues, and he won't be able to get them installed in time. And not much long after, but he just said, I can't guarantee that it's dedication. However, something magic happened. We got Aaron, he's going to come up and speak. I asked him to come up and speak. is with Public Works. And I first met Aaron way back when, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Lot
I've only
G.
been here for 2 years.
Okay, so
Yes.
2 years ago, on Lot G, and Aaron was involved with doing project work. So we all know John Brickley, who is project manager for the Parks Department. Well, Aaron is sort of a partner, but in Public Works. So Aaron is the one spearheading the installation of the 4 artscape pieces. We're finally getting motion on that, and he is pretty confident that we will get them installed by April 15th. So that means we can have Artscape as our World Art Day dedication, those 4 pieces on April 15th. And that'll be nice because that is one effort that is across the entire city. We hit 4 parks, we hit multiple neighborhoods in 3 districts, I believe. Okay. So Aaron, if you could just give us a quick update on when you think they'll be installed, any other outstanding challenges and where you stand on that.
Sure, absolutely.
Anything else you want to share about the installation process? And I will say, he has truly been a hero. He's been just pushing and pushing. It's not him. It is dealing with the planning department or the building department or all of these other departments, and he, heads nodding. And he's just been a hero pushing that through.
Well, thank you, Gary, and commissioners. Nice to meet you. My name's Aaron, project manager in the Public Works Department. I do believe we can get there. I'm always nervous to say that. We are waiting on one final piece for Spagoti.
I've been saying that for a year, so.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
we are waiting on one final piece for Spagoti, some finalized structural drawings for the building department. As soon as we have that, we have all of our permits, which is great. So
You have 3 of the permits already, correct?
we have 3 of the permits just about ready. They're waiting on a piece from me, but that won't be an issue. So Rover, Dancer, and Shapes and Sizes. I always want to call it Cacti, but Shapes and Sizes. So once we have that final piece for Spagoti, we'll get the permits. I have already reached out to my contractor in an attempt to schedule them for the end of February for the footings, the concrete for the pieces. And then next we'll be coordinating with the artists, which I will do with Jay, Gary, and John for the actual installation of the pieces. My goal, absolute goal, is to get them beginning of April, so we have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling confident, and it's nice to kind of get over this hump.
And so the challenge is, as you said, we theoretically have permits for 3 of them, 1 is outstanding. And if we just had the 3, the contractor could start the cement now. But they want to do all the cement at the same time.
So they can't do the cement for the 4th one?
Yeah, the challenge is that the price that we have for this work is really contingent on a single mobilization. It's a big contractor. They're coming out of Lake Forest and really.
But you can't install it even though the piece may not be ready to go in? The concrete pad?
The concrete pad for all 4 pieces will happen at the same time. So yeah, I have to get the concrete pads done for everything, and then we can start working on the installation of the actual pieces.
Because some of the concrete pads, some of them have bolts and stuff like that in them, and they have to get that building has to sign off on that.
Yeah, so getting that final permit,
Yeah.
then we'll be able to get everything installed. But I think that we're so close on that final permit piece, once we have it for Spagoti, that I'm confident in scheduling that contractor for the end of the month.
And I will state this is a concern at the highest level. I had lunch with the city manager last week, and he said, let me know when I need to step in to get it done. And I said, I'm confident in Aaron and John taking care of it. So I'm going to state we will get Artscape for World Art Day.
Well, we will keep pushing on it, as you've seen in all my communication.
For the past 2 years.
And happy to answer any questions if anybody has any, but that's my update.
Any questions for this?
Which is the piece that is still outstanding that we're waiting on?
Spagoti, we're waiting on not the piece,
We have the piece here.
yes, we're
But I
waiting.
understand that one is a bit large, so the base of that one will be quite large as well, right?
It's going to be a number of footings for
Four
that,
smaller
yeah.
ones.
Oh, okay.
But we are actually just waiting on a revision for the structural drawings.
Yeah.
Some comments from the building department that Spagoti's, I'm going to call it Spagoti's engineer is working on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, ironically, the one we have in storage, we're waiting for them. Any questions for Aaron? Thank you very much, Aaron.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
Great.
Thank you all.
And then lastly, as I said, we started Artscape easily a year and a half ago, if not
Made
longer.
good time on it.
Maybe 2 years ago. So I want to start planning now for World Art Day 2027. Because if we are doing commission work, meaning we solicited and it's fabricated, that's easily a 12 to 9 month process. And there, by the time it gets through our city systems, and then the artist and the solicitation on it. So I looked through our ordinances, and we actually can do 3 kinds of purchasing. We can do direct purchasing, meaning you just buy something directly from one artist. Council doesn't favor that because it ends up with sort of a favoritism feel. You can do an open call, which is what we've done for the most part, and council likes those. And open calls are where you just put it out there, it's publicly promoted, and anybody can enter. There's positive sides and there's negative sides to an open call. The positive side is you discover new talent. You get a lot of visibility. The negative side is a lot of established artists do not participate in open calls because they feel they're beyond that. Another thing that is in our ordinances that we are looking how to proceed is a limited call. And a limited call is where we can suggest people to participate. And again, I'm waiting for the specific language from the city attorney, so this is not final by any stretch. But the idea would be each commissioner could suggest 3 artists that they think they would like consideration. And then there's a pool of artists that, on one hand, I say, I like their work, I think we should consider them. And then we all review that one group, and then there's eliminations, and then there's the fabrication, and there's an award. Again, there's legal ways to go about it. There will be specific criteria of what we're looking for. That has not been determined yet, or any discussions or anything like that. But we'll discuss that at our next meeting. But I'd like everybody to give some thought on how something like that would work and what sort of criteria the works should be judged by. But if we do this and we have it, say, in March, and we get it all approved, and it would go to council maybe in April, May, that would then, contracts take 6 weeks, and then would go out and be, look on and on and on. We will hit World Art Day 2027. The nice thing about this is it won't hit this year's budget. It will hit the 26-27 budget at that point.
Do we know how many pieces we're talking about?
We can discuss that at the next meeting.
Okay.
As I said, I just want to throw it out there, and I also want everybody to understand, the process of getting work takes that. It takes that long. At the next meeting, you say, you know what, we don't even want to do fabrication work. It can be a pre-existing piece. An artist might already have in their collection that they could submit, or not. Maybe it needs to be new. Maybe it has to have a certain theme. Maybe you want it to be about climate change. I have no idea.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm throwing the concept out there. We will discuss it next month.
I will say, my experience with a limited call was with Santa Monica when they were doing a call for artists for one of their parks. And it did give the city a bit more control on what type of art, instead of just soliciting artists to submit work. Having a limited call, reaching out to these artists directly and telling them, like, this is what our expectations, our needs, and what we want. And then what I would like to see too is like a stipulation that the artist that eventually gets chosen is to work with the community, to understand what the community is viewing or wanting in public art as well, instead of submitting a piece that's finished or that they already have pre-planned. But definitely I would like to see a little bit more community involvement and working directly with the artist. So I feel like a limited call would definitely encourage that more.
Again, calendar-wise, we have to be considerate of that too. So the more you schedule community involvement and feedback and things like that, that just pushes it back probably 2 to 3 months in terms of deliverable. But again, we can talk about it next week or next month. So it's just, but think about it, look into what other limited calls have been like, how it would work. I've already discussed this with Commissioner Kibbe and Commissioner Landy, and they're going to sort of look, okay, how would we judge these? Because I think you judge a limited call different than you do an open call. So there can be very specific criteria with what you want. Okay?
I really like that comment.
And my first thought was, and again, we can discuss this, is we originally had Beautiful Shade by Roger Reutemann going in Francis Stevens Park, or sorry, Ruth Hardy Park. And that's not happening, so maybe we target Ruth Hardy Park, and it would be easier for a limited call for the artist to say, this location, this park, come up with an idea, as opposed to, hey, wherever you like, whatever works well. But again, we'll discuss that next month. Any other questions on World Art Day? No? Next up, Fossils of the Future artwork on Racket Club Road regarding QR code, plaque signage, bench, and adding to maintenance schedule. Some background on Fossils of the Future piece. This initially came when the commission was doing neighborhood grants. And they gave a $5,000 neighborhood grant to the artist and the community to install a piece there on Racket Club Road. And the piece was meant to be temporary. It's $5,000 to do a temporary piece of art there. I don't know if anybody's seen it. I know you've seen it because you've been out, Carmen Santiago, looking for clues on everything and finding artwork.
Yes.
And this is by the artist Tyler Burton, who's a local artist. It's a very interesting piece, and she does really interesting work. A then city council member saw it and said, I'd like this to be a permanent piece of the collection. And so then we negotiated with the artist, and then the commission at that time voted to make it permanent. There was then discussion of, well, maybe the artist asked if a bench could be put there because it's sort of isolated. And the commission looked into it, and Public Works at the time said, we can't get up there with a bench. It's just inaccessible to get a bench there. So it's sort of, nothing happened from that. Since that time, the artist has come forward and said, the piece is not being maintained properly, and there's a QR code, and when you click on the QR code, it goes nowhere. And whatever happened to the bench? And so as I said, Jay looked into the history, and there was never any promise of a bench in there. We looked into it, but we couldn't. So I think our charge here really is to update the sign because the QR code is not active anymore. So a more traditional sign that we're doing now, and then put it on our maintenance schedule with signature sculpture.
And I think I would say too, the piece is a bit isolated. When you get to the road where the piece is, you can barely see it. And it took me a little bit of time to navigate to the piece because there isn't any pathway or any indication of the best way to go with the piece or to the piece. And I also feel that it would be beneficial if we were to have a designated path to the piece, because a lot of people, if they're looking for it and they don't see a path and they just see rocks and desert landscape, they would be very hesitant to go in blindly to the piece. So
And if you see the piece, it could be camouflage.
yes. But once you get to the piece, it is very remarkable, and I do agree that it does need to be maintained. It is pretty isolated, and so the creatures out there are basically the most frequent visitors to the piece, and so they have been making it very homely for them, if I do say so. But yeah, I agree with the bench for people to, after hiking. I think it was less than a 5-minute hike, but that was because there wasn't a marked path and I had to step over boulders and plants and things. It wasn't too long, but a bench would be nice to sit and contemplate. It's beautiful surrounding as well, plaque and signage, but yeah, I definitely feel like a pathway and signs directing what that pathway is and where to go would be beneficial for the piece.
I also am concerned, you said you just want traditional signage, but Tyler's work is about the environment, and I'm surprised. I don't know where the QR code used to go.
Well, the QR code directed to explanation about her work.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's kind of a critical element of her work, is to understand what her work designates. Is it one of her columns?
Yeah.
It is, so.
It's, what the, looks
With-
like.
Yes, and
Yeah,
all of
cement
that,
and-
all of that
yeah.
is about,
Yeah.
pollution and garbage and what's happening in the environment. And her explanations are really, I think, a part of the piece. So I'm wondering why we would get rid of the QR code. I'd rather make wherever the QR code goes work again.
Well, the QR code has to, we have to.
Or a
ha-
written thing,
Yeah,
or-
we have to, something has to house it,
Right,
and we don't have that capability.
we don't.
No.
On-
So
on
the-
our-
Why can't the artist house it? I mean, it's her piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true
If she
too.
can. I mean, that's the divided the philosophy of art. Do you need to know the background, or do you appreciate it as it is?
But sometimes the art is not just about the visual, sometimes it's a combination of,
Do we?
So I just want to address one more point. Mr. Brickley, who's responsible for trailheads in the city?
Parks and Recreation.
Oh, are they? I did not know that. Excellent, excellent. So if we needed a bench or signage, it could be the Parks and Recreation Department, because the Art Commission can't do things like a bench.
And I
They do
underst-
pieces of art.
Yeah, and I understand the last time we went to the city yard, there were a few benches. The issue would be, especially the concrete ones, getting it up there. But first, I guess, would be to make a traversable path, and then that should make it easier to put a bench up there.
It was the former head of Public Works that looked into the bench and said, we can't get one there. So
So-
maybe if there's a different kind of bench, I don't know, but I says that would be a Public Works
Perhaps a wooden bench
decision.
or
Take a look at it and see.
So,
fiberglass?
but I think access is
Yeah.
critical.
I mean, if the, obviously we want to make sure people can like sit and view stuff, but if part of the reason why your hike was 5 minutes is simply because there was no path, maybe if there was a path, it'd be 2 minutes instead.
I have no problem doing path signs. I think that's appropriate. You want people to see the art. That's easy to do. And
Yeah.
Yeah, if this is because I guess the reason why they didn't create a path to the work was the understanding it was probably temporary, that there was going to be a development there. But if it's going to stay there for the foreseeable future, I think a path definitely would be best.
I like Tyler's work a lot. I think it's a shame that it's one of our most hidden pieces. And so I think anything we can do to draw attention to it is under the jurisdiction of the commission. Ensuring it's properly noted and explained, part of the commission. The bench would be Public Works or Parks.
Could it be moved?
I think I think it's site specific, wasn't it?
I think it was made there. I think it's cemented into the ground.
Yeah, and
I think, that.
either that or it was made specifically for that
Environment.
location, yeah. And I think part of the appeal of the piece is its isolation. You do feel like you're stumbling upon something that was left there by a previous civilization. And when you get there at a certain time, the light that hits the mountains, it actually makes it very beautiful.
Okay, so we need.
Sorry, I just had one question. And do we still have her explanation?
I think
That
on
was in
her,
That was in the QR code? Like, do we still have that, or are we gonna have to go
last
to
time I
her?
checked the QR code when I was up there, it didn't go anywhere. But as I understand it, it was supposed to link to her website that had an explanation of it. And I believe there is still an explanation on her site regarding that piece. So maybe we can just.
Yeah, so she wrote to me,
Yeah.
she's very interested in having whatever we can do to make the piece visible, accessible, whatever. So I think she'd be very willing to make sure that her QR code links back to the description.
Okay. I was just curious, because like, even if, we abandon the QR code and just go for a traditional sign, if her explanation is critical, I was like, well, if we don't even have the explanation, that's a bit of a problem. But I was just checking about that.
If she wants to include an explanation, I think that would be beneficial. I know artists are different in that regard. Some people want the individual to experience the art in their own way, while others would rather explain it, but it all depends on the artist.
Yeah.
If she wants to do that, that would be fine.
I also feel like there's just the element that like, and I see this at my work, but not everyone knows how to use a QR code. Or they're really intimidated by it, or they don't want to use it, or what have you, or when you're up in the mountains like that, then you don't have the cell service for it. But I feel that we might not even need to do the QR code, but if we do traditional signage just at the bottom for more information, go to her website, because she does have the information of the entire series that she has, and then you could also find all the different pieces on her website as well. And then you can travel more into all of her artwork as opposed to just this piece, because given what her website says, this piece that's up off of Racket Club is a part of a series of work that she does.
So it seems to me, then, why don't either you or both of you reach out to Tyler, explain about the signage.
Okay, I can do it.
Yeah,
Seems like
and then,
makes sense.
have you been to the location?
Mhm.
Okay, so then also figure out if we need to do any signs, guide signs.
I definitely think
Yeah,
so.
but just figure out how many and where and, you know.
But the guide signs would be Park and Rec, or would it be us?
I think it would be us, because we're directing them to the piece of artwork.
I think.
Are you gonna rake a path?
Yeah, I think you, Parks and Rec, be responsible for
The path.
and
Yeah.
then we can put the signs once the path is created.
So you can sit up here.
Just to clarify there, the understanding currently is Parks and Rec we manage trailheads,
Not trailheads.
not the trails themselves.
So then who would be responsible for creating a path to the work?
We could assess that with us, with Public Works. We'd also have to see if this is tribal land, anything else like that.
Is it tribal?
See, I mean, I guess on one hand, I look as though the piece was put there when the path was there. It's not like all of a sudden these boulders appeared, right?
No, there was no path. Yeah,
The piece was, it was installed there without a path.
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was well, I guess that would be another thing too, the artist's intention, if she didn't want a path, but it would still be beneficial for us to at least put some markers so that people know how to get there, or encourage people to walk to it, because yeah, if you just encourage people to go out into the wilderness with no marked path, they're most likely not going to.
So that could be a conversation whoever has with Tyler, and maybe do something interesting. You know,
I'll
paint it-
go out there and take pictures and
Yeah.
just sort of
Okay.
and give some to John too,
Yeah.
so he knows what that
Yeah.
place looks like.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Public Works or Parks Department responsibility to build new rocks, or something that the artist put there when the rocks were unclear to begin with.
And you can't really even see it on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me.
But if there was potentially a bench or something, that would be Parks coordinating with Public Works.
Yeah, and I think also too, the residents in the neighborhood would probably need to be consulted as well, like if they, you know.
So not a neon sign.
Yeah, definitely not a neon sign. So yeah, I think it's, what's it called, Little Italy or something?
No.
Little Tuscany, there you go. Sorry. Yeah, Little Tuscany, so they would probably want to be consulted if people come in and start making a hiking trail in their neighborhood.
And, well, as I said, the former council member was one who requested to become permanent, and their neighborhood association might have funds for a bench. Okay, but I think the first step is to talk to the artist about signage to, if she's willing to host it, and if not, can she write a statement that can be put on a sign?
Or, as Lily said, to have the website, refer to the website if it's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
comprehensive.
yeah. But she still may want to put a statement and
Yeah.
then the URL or something like that.
Okay.
And then we'll obviously put it on our maintenance schedule. Okay. So do we need to vote on that, Jay? We don't quite know what we're doing with signs yet, so maybe we should wait till the next meeting after they've talked to the artist, so we're voting on that, because
So we actually have a direction.
there's going to be cost in that.
Right, but I would put it on the maintenance schedule right away, because
Yeah,
it's been
for
ignored
maintenance,
forever, and
We should just go on and
Okay.
approve that as an expenditure
Okay.
of funds, and that may need to go to council also.
It's not just part of our budget?
It's part of your budget. Well, you know what? We
We
approved
did
the
extra.
additional
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
But any expenditures of public art funds for art or maintenance require council approval unless we change it in the ordinance.
Yeah.
So,
But council approval by piece, or didn't we just approve a budget that was for miscellaneous pieces?
Yeah, we had there was a surplus of
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
maintenance.
I think we have approval to do
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
so I think we're okay.
For maintenance, yeah.
Commissioner Kibbe, would you like to make a motion?
Okay, I will make a motion that we add Fossils of the Future to the maintenance schedule, and that it falls under our miscellaneous maintenance budget.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Excellent. And then who's going to follow up the artist?
I'll
You?
call the artist.
Okay, good. Very good.
You have contact info for her?
I have her email.
Next, discuss public art ordinance revisions for categorizing and evaluating memorials and consider scheduling a special meeting on February 26th focused on these topics. Now, we had a very thoughtful and thorough discussion on this at our 3 meetings ago, and we were cut off because we had so many other agenda items. So I asked you to see if we could schedule a special meeting where all we do is discuss the revisions that the group put together and put forth. And I said, I think that would be a good use of our time to just only dedicate ourselves to that. Okay.
Would it be appropriate during that meeting to present pieces that might be or would be considered memorials and have the commission look at them, or?
Currently in our collection?
Yeah, currently in the collection.
What I would do, if we vote on this date, which is
February 26th.
February 26th, I would send stuff in advance, and that way commissioners may be able to go look at it in person before the meeting.
Okay.
Because a lot of it too is, it might be a great memorial monument commemorative piece in the wrong location. Because some of these pieces have been there for 20, 25 years, and there's been a lot of development around them, and they're just lost.
And then also too, maybe a discussion if the piece really is a memorial, because some are like signage, some are statues. They could be or could not be considered memorials, so it would be something to discuss.
So I recommend we do this as a special meeting. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes. What day of the week is that?
26th? Thursday, correct? Yeah, so would someone like to make a motion?
Just to confirm, would it be at 5:30?
It's 5:30.
Yes, 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion, Janan?
I'll make a motion to schedule a special meeting on February 26th at 5:30 p.m. To discuss public art ordinance revisions for categorizing and evaluating memorials.
Would you like, someone like to second, Lily?
I'll second that.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lastly, as part of that, and we will discuss this at the meeting, but there are also pieces, and Commissioner Landy and Commissioner Kibbe and I had a separate conversation about categorization. And as you know, the Frank Bogert statue, which we were calling the memorial statue, it was really just a gift to the city. He was alive when it was donated to the city's collection. So one thing we also need to consider in our rewriting of these ordinances is how to deal with when pieces change. So a piece is currently in the collection, and all of a sudden it changes and it's rededicated as a commemorative piece. So how do we deal with that as well? So I think there's a lot of complexity with what we're doing here. It's not just a matter of saying, that goes there, that goes here, that goes there. Okay? So, and again, all those sort of things, I suggest you come to the meeting, reading the papers, and if you may want to have Jay resend those. And anything else from other like cities that help the commissioners come to the meeting as educated and prepared as they can.
I also think that we should, maybe now is not the time, it'll be during this, is the discussion about us as political issues, because of our responsibility in that area.
Yes. We'll discuss that. And then once we figure out how we're handling that, that will give forth what we're calling it. You know, we started with monuments and memorials, and then somebody brought up commemorative
Commemorative.
pieces,
Yeah.
which is,
Assets.
yeah, which is a little broader and a little less trigger, I think. You know, I know a lot of people felt that the Pride Monument wasn't monumental enough, wasn't big enough, and memorial triggers people for various reasons, so commemorative is, it's commemorative, that's fine.
That's why this is a good juncture to bring these into discussion. It's not specific to the Bogart statue, though that experience helps to inform our advice, but we should talk about commissioning commemoratives or deaccessioning commemoratives, all the different things that one could do with these different categories of work.
Correct. And each work, and as I said, and this will come to it, this will be part 2. Once we determine what the requirements and the acceptability is and the categorization for the commemorative collection, we then may have to go back to the public art collection and redo some of those acceptable, how we get the pieces in there. The one thing that I definitely want to add in there, and I'm going to ask Jay to do some work on that beforehand, is I want to redo the gift application so that we make it much more like the Planning Commission does. When planning makes a recommendation to council to accept something, they have conditions on there. Our application is just yes or no. And I think that we have learned we can accept something conditionally. We will accept it if you do X, Y, and Z moving forward. Okay. Next up, report on coordinating with the Parks and Recreation Commission to identify potential art locations within city parks. Tina, and you were there, correct?
John was there.
Okay, good.
Yes. John and his team created, so the initial survey was going to be Sunrise Park and Victoria Park. And John, myself, Jace, who's on the commission, and I don't know the woman's name who was there.
I believe it was Nancy Ferguson.
It was Nancy.
So the Park and Rec people created very large aerial maps of the parks, which is great because I can see everything. We walked Sunrise Park. We didn't get to Victoria Park because it got dark. Sunrise Park, from my experience, is much larger than I anticipated. There's some really nice spaces there for public art. There's actually quite a few, I think 4 or 5 cement pads already there that look like they were just built for public art. So basically what we did is we walked through the park, and with John's expertise, he kind of told us how the park was used for the Parks Commission, like where they play soccer and do all these sort of family activities, engineering, like what might be underground that we can't really mess with, and where some opportunities are to have art in the park. So that's what we did in Sunrise Park. We didn't mark up the map. So I know where, and I will share all this with you, so we know where we shouldn't put public art and where public art should go. Victoria Park, it got too dark, but we did look at the aerial map of Victoria Park. We saw where Rover was going, and I don't know if there is a lot of opportunity other than Rover and Victoria Park, because the rest of the park is being used by park activities.
It's essentially a playground.
Yeah, so, but Jace is basically in charge of doing the next scheduling, so when those schedules come out, I will send them to Jay, who send them to you guys. Please join me on at least one park survey, because it's really very interesting, like the places where you wouldn't think art can go. So it actually was very helpful, so. Anything else you want to say?
No, not really. I think you pretty well. I was gonna say,
I'm good.
places where art can go, might not think art can go, or places we might think that'd be great for art, and it's like, not saying no, but there's factors in there to consider.
Yeah, which was super helpful, because you think, oh, that's a perfect spot, and you're like, well, no, because the truck drives through there. It's like, oh, okay. I would have not known that had the park commission not been there, so.
And I want to state, I guess about 2 months ago, Lori and Tina and I walked Sunrise Park looking along the pathway, and we determined where we thought intersecting cubes should go, moving that. And then last week, John texted me, how tall is intersecting cubes? And I, of course, Googled it to find out how tall it is. Found an article from 2008 about the installation of intersecting cubes, and apparently it's electric and lights up.
Yes.
Has it ever lit
I
up?
was gonna say, has it ever?
I don't think so, I didn't find anything.
It
Yeah.
has lights at the base of it.
So, and it's supposed to, the whole thing's supposed to light up. And if that, and they might have not really turned them on because it's really close to the road, which is what we discovered with pillars, where Public Works says you can't turn that on, it's distraction for traffic. However, in Sunrise Park, where we want to put it, we can light it up.
But it's not too tall.
It's not too tall.
We have that other sculpture there, that mobile sculpture that's pretty tall, right? And it
The
lights up as
baseball
well.
guy?
No.
Oh, the other one at the beginning. Yeah. Well, that's what we did when we plotted out where intersecting cubes is. We're sort of creating this art walk, and we put dragonfly and intersecting cubes, sort of connecting the many areas. And then eventually,
Yeah, what would be too tall for a park? I mean, it's open, there's a sky above you. I mean, there's nothing around.
yes, so I encourage everybody to join at least one or two parks. As I said, it's great to just go out and see, and with the Parks Commission. You know, really, if we were to have a eternal commission, it is the Parks Commission, because 80% of our artwork is in city parks. On top of that, I'd encourage commissioners to go to a Parks Commission meeting. Just sit there and listen. You don't need to speak, you don't need to identify yourself, just go and listen and see what it's like.
I vouch for that. I went to the last one and I learned so much. Actually, things that would help us in our jobs as arts commissioners too. So that was really very informative.
Yeah.
I do apologize for not doing the walk with you. I think at that time I was in Riverside attending the Creative Economy Town Hall, so.
We've got 9 more parks to go, so.
Yeah,
Lots of
opportunity. That's actually tied to my question. I know that, city employees need to be there. Are we only ever able to walk on a weekday?
Yeah.
Or
James-
are there
yeah,
weekend
the
options?
schedule, the people on the Park and Rec Commission who wanted to do it are available during days. So yeah, there will be opportunities during the week as well as the weekends, because I know everybody's schedule is different.
Okay, so there will be opportunities on the weekends?
Yes.
Okay, that's more my question, because weekdays are much
So
better.
I think you can just say to Jason, I need some weekends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay. Next up, Commissioner voting expectations. The last meeting we had was a difficult meeting. It was a difficult situation, and it's not the first one that the commission has had. I did some digging, and I read through all of the commission ordinances that I could find, and only one explicitly mentions, quote, handling a public controversy, and that's the Public Art Commission. Not the Human Rights Commission, not the Planning Commission, just Public Arts. And that is not accidental. Art in a civic space is expected to provoke debate, and the ordinance reflects a clear understanding that commissioners were appointed to engage with that reality, not step around it. So council appointed commissioners with the expectation that they would weigh the issues and vote, even when decisions are uncomfortable or unpopular. Public controversy was anticipated, specifically named, and built into the framework precisely so it could be faced and not avoided. And last month's meeting was not the first time commissioners have been asked to take difficult votes or deal with strong opinions from the public, and it won't be the last. However, if a commissioner feels unable to fill all the duties that the ordinance anticipates and requires, it may be worth considering whether the Public Art Commission is the appropriate fit. So after the meeting, I received a text, and they were like, every commissioner should be voting. And Jay and I have gone back and forth with the city lawyer and the city clerk on the process, and Jay will discuss what is the requirement.
So in your package is an excerpt from the city council's rules and guidelines. There's a section on failure to vote.
I don't see it, Jay.
It just looks like just a random page, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
May I ask a quick question? How do you define failure to vote? Is that an abstain?
Yes, yes. or saying nothing.
Right.
Because what's not shown here is that if the vote, there's no vote by a person on the body, it's counted as a yes vote. So that's, kind of new to me. So essentially, what would happen here for the council is they would just be required to state why they're abstaining. And then that gets recorded in the minutes and included in that. So that's what the city council does. We don't have specific bylaws for the Arts Commission, but, just kind of being part of the city, this is something to consider. The city clerk is looking into what other commissions do and is hopefully going to provide some examples from other commissions on situations like this.
So what the city lawyer said is, there's no law or bylaw, it's policy. Every city sets its own policy. And he said, this is how council is guided, and the expectation is that the commissions are guided that way as well. If you have to recuse or abstain for personal benefit or financial reasons or anything like that, you need to identify that before the discussion happens. You have to say, I need to recuse myself for X, Y, and Z reason. And that you're also not supposed to then speak during that discussion because you can't guide the discussion if you're not going to participate in the vote.
So I just need to qualify, or understand. So an abstain, because it's a difficult vote, is not allowed, because you don't want to be seen on either side.
Correct.
And an abstain for reasons other than financial, legal, anything that relates to that there's a conflict of interest really is not an allowable vote.
No, you say I cannot vote because whatever happened. We had a situation 2 years ago where a commissioner was living with the head of the museum. And we were approving funding to give the museum, and if you're recusing for financial reasons, you have to get up and leave the room. You can't even be in the room when the discussion happens because that puts a roof over your head. And so the goal is the commission is supposed to vote. And if you have a reason to not vote, you need to state it up front and then not participate in the discussion.
So what happens if you're, so to my understanding, a recusement and an abstention, it's different legally. Like a recusement is like, I have a conflict of interest, so I need to leave, and an abstention is separate?
I'm hearing that it's a conflict of interest. Abstaining is a result of a conflict of interest.
So you can only abstain if you have a conflict of interest?
This is the policy the city has suggested we go by, which is you vote. So, and if you have to abstain or recuse, basically, again, right now it is that they are essentially the same, but recusing is financial investment.
Oh, recusement is, sorry, I'm just trying to understand the difference. So recusement is specific to
If you can't
financial
participate, you
finances.
should let everybody know at the beginning.
Okay, but recusement is specifically financial and then abstention is everything else.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I don't agree with that. Abstention is not just because you're uncomfortable. It's not everything else. Abstention is related to a conflict of interest.
No, that's what she's
I
saying.
think she meant every other conflict.
I meant every other conflict of interest. Sorry, I should have been more specific.
Yeah.
I was just trying to understand, like.
I've read in certain cities, they say you can abstain if you made public remark supporting or not supporting something. You may not have financial interest in it, but you feel, whatever reason, so you don't have, that's where you would abstain, but you have to say that up front.
Can I ask a specific question, seeing as this is coming in light to our last meeting in the Frank Bogart statue? What about in the case of, or at least maybe this is the way I understood it last month, was that our vote came down to what we heard in that meeting and the discussion that comes out of it.
Correct.
So if you're basing your entire vote based off of that discussion, that doesn't leave a lot of room to abstain prior if you don't have that information yet, if we are making that entire vote based on the information provided during the meeting.
Correct. So if you have a reason that's a conflict, you're conflicted, you know your conflict before you walk into the room.
Okay.
And you need to let the other commissioners know and our staff liaison know, because that affects quorum and voting too.
Right, okay.
Or what if you don't know that there's a conflict, as she's saying, until you start to hear people talk and you see people in the room who you've now realized is a conflict of interest?
You can stop at any minute and say, I need to abstain, and you can leave the room.
So that, you're referring to what, a relationship that you know somebody in the room?
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
professional relationships, people who spoke, that type of thing, and how that might impact, at that point, then you might have to make a decision to abstain.
I need to, and I want to know a definition, because in all of the council member meetings that I've ever participated in, all the years that I've gone to city council, a relationship with a person, if there's not financial or legal or whatever, a relationship can't be a reason, just because you like somebody or work with somebody doesn't mean you can abstain from then voting.
No, it would be professional relationships where, financial
Where you
situations
work
could
together in
arise, you know what I
some
mean?
case.
So it is
It's your job.
Yeah.
job-related.
Jay?
Well, I don't know, that's an interesting
Well,
question, given.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come back to that. I don't
Yeah.
have an answer to
Yeah.
those details.
The main takeaway is you can't abstain or recuse because you're uncomfortable.
Right.
You need to go on the vote. You're required to go on the vote. And as I said in my remarks, public controversy is in our ordinances. We are expected to deal with that. If you get the agenda and you think, ooh, this might be a touchy thing, I worked at Village Green, that might be a challenge for me. That's when, before the meeting, you talk to Jay and say, hey, I worked at Village Green, do you think this is going to be a challenge? And he will let you know if you need to abstain or recuse.
I think that Michelle has an interesting point, though, because given what's gone on politically, where people have lost their jobs by taking a position that might be contrary to their employer's position, is a problem. And I would hate to see that where we now have people afraid to take a position and participate because of a fear of not agreeing with their boss or their employer. Or, I'm not saying that's the case, but I think that is a very touchy place.
But I also think, just in the sense of that specific context, there is the idea that it's kind of a double-edged sword, where if you disagree with the person you work with, you have to worry about a hostile work environment in the future. If you agree, then you're accused of going with the people that you know and pushing what their motives are and their agendas are. So there's no really good way to go about that. So I think her comment, and I'm speaking for you and I'm sorry, I feel like her comment is more rooted in the fact of having personal or professional relationships with people. Is that reason enough to walk away from a conversation or a vote like that? Or if you feel as an individual that there could be some sort of conflict of interest, or your opinions are being swayed by those relationships, is that reason enough to pull away? Or does there have to be really strict parameters? Is there flexibility to that, if that makes sense?
Makes sense. I think what might work is if you have questions like that and would like definitions, email me, and I will try to queue up the city attorney to possibly provide answers at the next regular meeting, because it sounds like there's a lot of questions here, and unfortunately, I don't know those legal definitions of, what is what when it comes to cause, recusal, all those items.
And again, none of this is going away. Which is why we wanted to address this. This is what it is. And I agree with what Lori was saying, that, you can be attacked for making a vote, that we are supposed to make decisions on everything we heard in that room. No innuendo, no what you read on Facebook or anything like that, just what you were presented in the room. And yet, I was attacked, Jim was attacked.
I was attacked.
You were attacked. And yet, you still have to say, I did the right thing. I made the decision based on the evidence presented in front of me.
I think it would be, just to say, I think it would be, what's the right word? I think we would be silly, for lack of a better word, to think that you can come into a room completely neutral on a subject that's been so charged. So my expectation would be that somewhere in the back of your mind, there is this turmoil, and part of it will help, it does influence you in your decision-making. I know that specifically to this topic, my personal approach to that, because I've listened to all of it over the years, was to try to make a decision that expanded the conversation. So I think it is based on the information in the room, but I think we have to acknowledge that you do come with our biases and our understandings and stuff. And part of, I think, our job as commissioners is to be able to take all of that and be expansive in the way in which art can be used in a community, and how does that affect our decisions and motions that we make, to try to be more than just a yes or a no.
And at the same time, that background that you bring to your vote in conflict is probably why council put you on the commission.
Probably so,
You know,
yeah.
I recommended you because being a developer, I thought it was important to have that perspective on the commission. So, that's the catch-22.
And I will say, it is very scary to make a decision that you think will go against some social set of parameters. But that
So-
can't be the reason we're making decisions that
Right.
we're making, right?
Right. Okay, so Jay, you're gonna deal with specific
Jim.
questions?
I was just gonna ask for protocol. I know might be running low on time. If we have any questions about the rules for recusement and abstention, do I just reach out to you after?
Yeah, send me questions, and I'd like to invite everybody to do the same. And it's something I think would be good to get the opinion of the city attorney on, just to make sure I'm not making things up. So,
No worries, no
That would be
worries.
helpful.
But, yeah, and then I'll try to get somebody to be on call on Zoom at the next meeting to address the questions and answer other questions that may come up, so.
Next item, project updates, budget. Jay, I see a budget here. What have you got for us?
Yeah, that's just kind of a summary of where we're at right now. I'm going to share my screen, and you have the same thing in the package in front of you. That's kind of tough to read.
So you put this together, this is not a finance budget, correct?
I worked with finance to provide the numbers,
Okay.
who provided the numbers, and then I put them sort of in a chart.
Great.
All right, so, just quickly, the total budget at this point is $908,305. And that wasn't the starting budget. That was the budget, which includes Measure J, the budget, which includes carryover. So the starting budget was more like $418,000. And when I say that, I should also mention the budget office told me the revenues coming in look lower than what was projected. So I think they anticipated about $120,000 for the year. And as of January 31st, they're only seeing $50,000 coming in. So maybe it picks up towards the latter half of the year, but right now, it's not tracking as if we're going to hit the projected budget amount, meaning next year's carryover might have to be reduced by whatever shortfalls there are this year.
And is that the art fee in the permit process?
Art fees in the permit. And as you go down this list, you'll see the actual expenditures are $225,000. So it looks healthy, right? The current balance is $682,000. But there are encumbrances, which are contracted expenditures that are going to be made because they're under contract or PO already. And that's $192,550. But in addition to that, The commission and the city council have approved other projects that are not yet with an executed contract. So if you flip over the pages, you'll see the encumbrance detail, which includes things like the old Las Palmas yellow warbler, and I forgot what the other one was, on Chino, West Chino. But the commission agreed to provide $25,000. The repair and maintenance agreement that was approved is $50,000. And Artscape, Pride, and Shade all have outstanding payments to be made totaling $117,000. So that comes out of that available $600,000. Also, what comes out of the available $600,000 are the projects that have been approved for things like Artscape in the park bases. That work that Aaron just spoke about is going to be $171,000, and that will be covered by Measure J. A's Memorial, we don't have a contract yet, but it's been approved by the commission and by city council. It's a commitment of $120,000. A base for Matt Cartwright's beautiful shade piece. He does not yet have, he's asking if the city could support, if the Arts Commission could support him on the base. So that's sort of an anticipated cost. And I think we spoke about using Measure J for that in a previous meeting. And the commission also approved installation signage using Measure J funds in the amount of $15,000. So that's an additional $336,000 that comes out of what's available. So going back to that first page leaves $267,000 at this point in time, because you, the commissioners, had removed $100,000 that was meant for Wyatt Mural. There were a couple other items that you agreed to cancel out, like the valuation services. So that boosted the available up a bit. So now it's at 267.
And so any money we don't use this term rolls over.
Correct.
And this term is, we're in February, so then we have March, April, May, June. We have 4 months left in this term. And then we get a new budget.
New budget,
This rolls in, you just said.
Correct.
if you don't touch it.
Yeah, so I mean, this is extraordinarily helpful.
Yes.
And if there's, so I thank you for putting this together. It would be great to have this ongoingly, to understand on a monthly basis whether there's changes, so we're always aware of what we have to work with.
That's the plan. But I will say, that doesn't sound good, does it? I will say, the format of our budget is not like this. Finance had to get into the detail and identify the individual POs when it's typically just rounded up and says, oh, that's, $200,000. But they went in and looked at the detail to show, well, you've got something called Old Las Palmas, something called cleaning, and so they identified that so we would know what was happening with the budget better, so.
So the one thing that's not on here is, and I know we have it in our budget, is the installation of Taming of the Horses.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
contract?
And
I
that,
don't know that that was, it would fall into the encumbrance, I'm sorry, not encumbrance, but the pending encumbrance.
okay.
Yeah.
And that was, we also, those are going on the steel plates, which I believe, John, you purchased already, correct? When they were going on, we bought steel plates when work was going on Lot G, and we think we have enough for what was purchased for things like lawn chair and popsicles, so we can use those for taming the horses. So we do have taming the horses, which I will ask him about, which should come out of this as well, because there will be other expenses for that. They'll need to be cleaned up, and there's the flags or the mural component to do the visual with that as well. But especially know that we have money to make that look great. Because we also have this money, and the money will be rolling over, excuse me, into the year. Next month, when we review the idea of the limited call excuse me. We may determine we want to do 2, because we haven't done anything to Muth Park.
We would need to know, though, how much of this budget goes to the items you just said, though, correct?
I have a question about the permitting process and the developer money that we get. Does it matter if the development is on tribal land or not? Is it a different, do we still get the same amount of money if it's fee land or tribal land?
It's a really good question, and I'm gonna say, yes, we do.
Okay.
But I'm also gonna say, I don't know that the tribe has to. I don't know, John, if you know how that's treated, but
I'm not sure either.
yeah, from what I've seen, they have participated in paying sales taxes when they could potentially not have to.
Okay.
And I would think permit, review, and approval all kind of go through the same process.
Okay.
But I have a question, though, in the amount that you have in the budget, when you say it comes from permits, you can't really put that in a budget if, in fact, the contractor can get it back at some point when they actually install art. So is that actually in the budget, or are those monies that?
It's in the budget. They put
Really?
everything in there.
So in effect, really, it's possible, without knowing the makeup of these fees, that $267,000 is not available because the contractors could come in and say, we've installed, we're bringing it to the Arts Commission and we want our money back.
Correct. And they would have to come to the Arts Commission, the same way Thompson Hotel did, and say, we would like,
Your reimbursements.
yeah, here's our art plan, here's the budget, we'd like to reimburse it.
So is there any way out of the budget to know what is permit fees? So that, in fact, we know how much money may be available but isn't really available?
It's 100% permit fees.
It's all permit fees,
100% permit fees.
except for the 250,000 for Measure J. Our budget is all permit fees. There's no other.
So we know 250 is Measure J, so when it says the 2026 budget of the 908, 250 is Measure J.
Correct.
Includes Measure J.
Yeah.
So 908 minus 250 is all permit fees.
Okay.
Yeah, we have no other revenue stream.
Okay. I wasn't clear that
Yeah.
that was.
Now, if we ever got our council to change the way Palm Desert does it, Palm Desert gets their money from a percentage of when the city does buildings. So when they do their airport expansion or their library expansion for those permits, we would get a cut of that. In Palm Desert, that's how they do it.
Right. So if you go to the pending, so the 171, the 30, and the 15, that's almost 250. So
Yeah.
basically, that's
Correct.
out of the budget, the 250, that's Measure J would go to those items.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions on that? And we'll have it on our budget or our agenda next month as well.
Just one comment. So really, there's no money available because of 267 can go back to contractors.
Sure, but technically, they probably won't do it until next term or the term after that, so we're always playing catch-up,
Okay.
always. You know, we have developers who come after 5 years.
Of course, yeah, and I know we're
Yeah.
looking to
Yeah,
work on
to
that.
tighten
but,
that.
Yeah.
Artscape in the parks, we heard about. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on Artscape? Or did
No,
Aaron cover that?
Yeah, Aaron covered pretty well.
Beautiful shade, the Dragonfly, I believe that's going to be installed in June.
Hopefully, so I did meet with our building official today to discuss, we've gotten some updated drawings from the artist. The directive is if we can get those stamped by an engineer, we should be good with proceeding with that and scheduling shortly. And we also need the attachment type specified. So there's a few engineering aspects there, but other than that, we could expedite it if not sooner.
Well, the artist did say he's going to be in this area in June, and he'd prefer to do the installation in June if possible.
Okay, that's right.
And he had another piece that he was interested if we were wanting to purchase, which is actually quite interesting. I liked it. And I asked him for a price, he never got back to me. Did he get back to you?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't
I
seen
thought it was nice,
No.
so we'll see. Art maintenance inventory.
No current updates. like I said, in the process of going through the inventory that we have to see which pieces can be considered as commemorative pieces, so separating that, and then it's still ongoing, just cross-checking with public records and city documents on acquisitions, which pieces really are ours or which belong to private developers.
Connected to this, former Chair Ann Sheffer reached out to me that the PS Public Arts website URL she's still paying for.
Oh, it should.
And she has renewed it, but she said she wanted to turn it over to us. And I know that the city is doing a new city website, and it makes sense to me to have PS Public Arts as a satellite site from the city site that would house the walkables map that the commissioners have been working on for 2 years now. So if you can get approval on that, I will ensure that happens, and that will be a nice little adjunct, so we can have this dedicated site with all the work on there and the catalog.
And I've been speaking with our GIS staff, and, you know, I'd mentioned that they did take the work that Commissioner Gascon has done, and they included it in the GIS for the city. So they wanted to know if there were commissioners that wanted to meet with them and kind of review what she has before it goes public, and just kind of also for her to get a sense of what the commission might want to see on the GIS page.
Explain this again. This is the walkable map?
This is the city's GIS website.
What does
And
GIS mean?
It's a geographic information system.
Okay.
And it's basically maps, different types of maps in the city, and all of the public art projects are mapped. So their locations are on the map. And each location is actually like a data sheet, right? So what information people could look at kind of depends on what's in that data sheet. So she's wanted to know if there's anything in particular that the commission would like to have included.
Will this information, this GIS map, ultimately be public?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's super cool.
So
I just-
people could look at it on their phone, and if there's, Tyler Burton can say, there's damage on my piece, click and send a note.
I'm not sure it's gonna be attached to the Palm Springs app, but it's, if that's something that's desired, that could
Okay.
possibly be worked in.
It should.
It should, but I understand the app is separate from the GIS, or do they work in tandem?
They should be connected, honestly.
Don't know.
Yeah, okay.
think
Well,
we have a lot of-
so your question is
Yeah.
who would like to meet with the tech people?
I guess I should.
Did you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
I'll be happy to help, yeah.
Okay, so you two can do it.
The only issue I see is that, like I said, going through all the documents, just making sure that art pieces do actually belong to the city, because I've already seen some discrepancies where pieces either are on loan or they're privately owned, but the city supported them in some way, like with permitting or funding or something like that.
Well, and that's the other question. Is it just for art that's owned by the city? I mean, there's a lot, like Maryland is a great example. It's like, it's not, we don't own, the city doesn't own it, but it's a huge piece of public art in the city that people want to know about. So is this map just art owned?
That would be a situation where you do categorization.
Yes.
Well, I honestly think that here in the commission, our purview is the pieces that are owned by the city. Another organization like, Visit Greater Palm Springs or something, I know that they have resources there that show other art pieces, not just in Palm Springs, but Greater Coachella Valley, that they have maps and information for people. So I think our purview is just the pieces that belong to the city. And that's primarily what I've been doing in the inventory, just making sure that what is available to the public and what is listed, the city has on the list actually does belong to the city.
So my next question is, who's going to be answering all those questions when people say, why is it Maryland on your map?
That would be Jay. I would suggest you consider, as I said, a categorization, because Palm Desert has what they call corporate art. And that is art that the developer used their funds for. And that's how they sort of do it as a satellite collection.
Which actually would be really nice, given what the Thompson's done, because only certain pieces are in the city collection, but they have a whole art walk through their hotel, and they have somebody who's educated to talk to you about the art
And Isabel
Yeah.
downtown. It's a great piece, but that was used with corporate funds that he contributed. The
Yeah.
baby up the side of the building should be in this, again, but consider it corporate art rather than the city's public art collection.
Yeah, and, to be honest, with the resources or lack of that we have here, if that was something that the city would like to do, the way I've seen it in other cities, particularly in Long Beach, where they had a separate nonprofit organization that worked in tandem with the city, the Arts Council of Long Beach, that was part of their initiative to catalog the public art in the city that both belonged to the city and then also that were publicly accessible but privately owned. So that would be something to discuss at a later date, kind of like the Friends of the Library, where that handled funding and things like that. But for our purposes, I think with just I think I have 150 pieces that I'm going through and making sure that they actually do belong to the city right now. It is a lot.
But you raise an interesting point, because we could go to the Thompson, and we could go to, I think it's the Hospitality Association, not Pisha, but the other one. I don't know the name of it, I'm sorry.
Pisha?
It's not Pisha, it's,
Small hotels.
The Chamber of Commerce?
no, it's the other hotel organization. which is confusing.
Small preferred hotels.
No. It's the one that's going to be running the TID.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we could go to them, they all have budgets, and say, we're creating this, like for the Thompson, we would like to include under the corporate end of this, your pieces, and let them contribute to the creation of this, potentially financially, if that's possible.
So again, I love the Art Commission, I love everybody here, but that's a lot of work. And really, that's overstepping our boundaries. I think that the way to structure that, and it's a good thing though, is to Natasha's point, we focus on ensuring that the pieces on here are part of the collection, properly noted, the artist is there, the history is there with possible. Then the next step would be the corporate component, where the developers have used their funds to put public art in. And that whole, everything else is something that Wayne should, that's economic development. And he would reach out and he would say, here, we want to do this, and here's the benefit to it. Because we just don't have the capabilities to deal with going to the small hotels.
That's
So,
fine, but,
yeah.
well, I don't know that it's small hotels, but it seems to me that it should be a concerted effort at one time, so that it
I
comes
agree,
together.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying, I think that would be within the economic
And I think
development
Wayne would
department.
be very interested in
Yeah,
that.
I think,
Yeah.
I totally agree, but like to Gary's point, it is a lot of work. Like I said, I already have 150 pieces in the inventory that I have, and half of them I'm not even sure if they belong to the city or if they are considered as part of the collection, like the benches, for example. So
There are pieces in the library that no one knew about until they were moving them.
So you raise an interesting point, maybe it has to be another discussion, that if in fact in 150 pieces, there's a large number that is unclear if it's even part of our collection, we should probably figure out what is our collection.
Well, that's what we
Exactly,
do
that's
when
what-
we, as part of the recategorization as well. There may be pieces that are really more part of the commemorative part and that. So, and that's another thing that needs to be considered when you work with these IT people is it needs to be noted, there's going to be two collections here.
yeah. So, yeah, it is a lot of work, and like I said, I totally agree with what everyone's saying, but it requires money, time, staff, things like that. Probably a whole separate nonprofit organization funding and running that, but I agree, it should happen.
Next item is Art of Taming the Horses. Mr. Brickley, do we have that document signed?
We do not.
Oh, dear.
I request updates, it's still in legal review between the county and the city. Just a quick update, I did do a site walk out there for the Measure J Tocco's Creek Trail Master Plan project today with that group as well as representatives of Trino, and they were very excited for horses, and they're passionate about having those in, and we're
I know they are.
advocating very strongly for you.
I get messages every 2 weeks, what's going on?
Yeah.
Is that where the painting is going on the bridge? Was that the determination to go along with the horses instead of flags, or?
Well, we have to discuss that,
Oh.
because the flags, what I want to do is someone do outreach to the artist. Say, the flag material that you did before ripped and faded within like 2 months. We want to move this to this location. Do you have a new material that will work? Or if not, we then could do something where we paint the walkway bridge with the same art imposed on the walkway bridge. And if you have the horses right by the bridge, the story will tell. And it might be actually a more interesting experience to have that.
So
So I don't want to go to the artist until we know we have everything signed.
Hopefully soon.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot's pending on that.
Okay.
I have a question. The poles that originally were used to hold up the banners, are they part of the art pieces, or are we specifically talking about the horses and then the flags will be a different component?
I'm not sure.
Because I know the poles themselves were also in the yard, so.
You know, my hope is that the artist can come up with a new material. And I think you mentioned maybe metal or something like that.
Could
the
do
sign.
metal.
Yeah. But it needs to show the story, because the whole point is the narrative, the six images tell a story.
Yeah, any kind of flexible material because of the wind. Successful.
And again, I'd like to thank Mr. Brickley. I think it's important to have people like John and Aaron come here and talk to you guys so you can understand the process that this goes through in the city.
Happy to be here and help.
And that's it. Okay, last item, Commissioner agenda requests and comments.
I just want to make a quick comment. Like I said, I wasn't able to attend the last walk with the Parks Commission because I was in Riverside attending the California Creative Economy reports on for Riverside. The city of Riverside recently got designation as a creative arts district. And I do have some contacts there that I'm hoping to meet with to understand how they got that designation, because I do know that Palm Springs did apply for that designation and unfortunately wasn't chosen. So I'm thinking about getting a meeting there with them. And then the purpose of that meeting was for the county of Riverside, and so went there kind of like an official representative of us, was to go over the findings of the Creative Economy report. And it's long and extensive. I'll find the report maybe and I'll send it to everyone, but I do understand the city.
Jay, send it to everyone.
Yeah, I do understand the city of Palm Springs is trying to look at ways to use art and public art for economic development, and I think the report is very fascinating on that, and not just art in particular, but how to support artists, how to encourage other industries to take art into consideration. So it was a very fascinating and very lovely time to be there with other arts administrators and artists in Riverside. We met at the Cheech. So yeah, it was lovely, and I'll send that information to Jay, who will send it to everyone else. I think it was very enlightening, and once I get a meeting with the city of Riverside on how they did their designation, I would gladly like to share those as well.
We did recall we did hire the grant writer.
Or what wasn't a grant writer per se, it was a consultant to help with the application.
Yeah, I think that firm is the city's grant writer. So she's still in a contract, so she should be able to help you out with that.
Yeah.
And are you aware of, I think it's June, that we're having this first arts experience where it's a combination of performing art and all the different art
it's
organizations.
mostly,
Oh, and then I know Riverside County does their Arts and Culture Month, so I can't remember if that's going to be in March, April, or May. I think it was in April last year.
yeah,
So-
April is April and October to Culture and Humanities Month or something like that.
Yeah, so in
National.
the past couple of years, Riverside County did do that, where they had like a scavenger hunt of different arts resources throughout the county. So they did express trying to partner with Palm Springs on figuring out how to do a county-wide arts thing, so.
So, Michelle, anything? Anybody else have anything to? No? I do want to throw one other thing. After the last commission meeting, I had something scheduled, so I drove to LA that night. And when I was in LA, I went to LACMA, just because I hadn't been there in a while. And at LACMA, they had two major exhibits, and coincidentally, they were on, the theme was reimagining monuments.
I think you're talking about the Museum of Contemporary Art, MoCA, not,
No, it was at LACMA.
was that LACMA?
And then there's also another one at the Geffen.
Which is MoCA.
Yes, that one, but that one it hasn't quite opened yet, but they said that's coming. But it was, and they are doing, LACMA, they're doing a presentation, speaking engagement with a bunch of artists on March 19th. And they're doing this discussion. The current academic discussion on dealing with these monuments is you don't take them down, you add context. And you report what's missing. And that's what these leading artists who are doing this are going to be talking about. So I encourage you to participate. A lot of these are videotaped. The discussion is videotaped. You can find them on the museum's website. So after I go to this one, as I said, it's March 19th. I'll let everybody know when it's posted on the site. But it's, if you can get to LACMA, it's an amazing exhibit, what this guy did.
Gotcha. I'm actually going to MoCA tomorrow, so
Yeah.
to see the monuments. I was actually in Virginia as well, and I saw some of the pieces there. So it'll be interesting to see how they're displayed here in California.
If there's nothing else,
Just quickly, John and I have been meeting with the artist on the Pride Monument to install just an additional metal band around the base to help prevent people from getting too physical with the art piece, because we have been assured it will not fall over, but there have been concerns that it was wobbly. I was one of them. And the engineer and our city building official were pretty comfortable with it. So just in addition to that, we're going to have a band with wording on it saying, do not climb, don't touch, and, respect the art, something along those lines. So
It's on the base, around the base?
on the base, yeah.
we'll see.
Not on the piece, but like an outline. So it'll be steel, John's what he said.
Stainless steel.
Steel, yeah.
Is what's being proposed.
High enough to not walk over, or?
We're proposing like a 2-inch wide by quarter-inch depth band, so like a long skinny band that kind of followed the profile around with some words etched in there.
And again, it was the piece when Jay looked at it moved, but his concern was, because we've seen people climbing it, if they climbed up and jumped off, because it was slightly movable, it could go even more if you had a 150-pound person jumping off and adding pressure at an angle.
Do you think the band will actually keep people from doing that?
I mean, it would probably be significantly less.
You think?
Well, it just shows that,
It's more for liability, honestly.
yeah, I think it just shows that the city is making an effort to show that this is not meant to be climbed,
Well,
rather
we
than.
did put a sign up, the do not climb sign, but still, people are gonna climb if they're gonna climb. And it's, if you recall, when it was presented to the commission, the first thing everybody said was, people are gonna climb that. And we were told they would not be able to, but they're able to. When it was presented to the Parks Commission, the first thing they were told was, people are gonna climb that. And they were told, no, they won't, but they are. So here we are.
That's it.
Yeah. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting? Our next meeting, which actually is the The regular meeting is on the 5th, but our next meeting is actually on the 26th. So should we change that to the 26th?
Sure.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I can make a motion.
Okay, thank you, Janan.
The Public Arts Commission will adjourn to a special meeting on February 26, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. in the large conference room of Palm Springs City Hall located at 3200 East Canyon Way.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.